You were a princess. You were terrified of the spotlight. Now, you are the very light that guides Genovia. But you must remember, a crown.
What if I told you that Princess Diaries 3 is not just a comeback, but a complete game changer? Because this time, it's not just about Mia being a queen anymore. It's about secrets, family twists, and a life-changing moment that could shake the entire royal future. From shocking pregnancy rumors to a mysterious new character who might change everything, this story is about to get way more emotional, complicated, and intense than anyone expected. And trust me, once you connect all the pieces, nothing about this sequel feels simple anymore. For years, Princess Diaries 3 felt like one of those dreams fans kept holding on to, but deep down, never truly believed would happen. It was always talked about, always rumored, but never real. And now suddenly, it's not just real, it's moving forward faster than anyone expected. And that's where things start to feel different. Because this isn't just another sequel made for nostalgia. The way everything is shaping up, it feels like the story is evolving into something much bigger, something more emotional, and, honestly, something more mature. Mia is no longer the awkward teenager trying to figure out her place in the world. She's a queen now. She carries responsibility, pressure, and expectations that go far beyond what we've seen before. And that shift alone changes everything. The moment you think about Mia returning, you don't just imagine the royal outfits or the palace life. You start thinking about what her life actually looks like now. What sacrifices she had to make. What kind of leader she has become. And more importantly, what kind of personal struggles she might be hiding behind that royal image. Because being a queen doesn't mean everything is perfect. In fact, it usually means the opposite. There's always pressure to appear strong, to make the right decisions, to carry the weight of an entire country without letting your personal emotions take over. And knowing Mia, the same girl who once struggled with confidence, identity, and belonging, you can already feel that this version of her is going to be layered, emotional, and possibly even conflicted. And that's where the story starts getting really interesting. Because early details and rumors are not just hinting at a continuation, they're hinting at a transformation. A story where Mia isn't just dealing with royal duties, but also something deeply personal that could completely change her life. Something that doesn't just affect her as a queen, but as a person. And once that element comes into play, the entire tone of the movie shifts. Suddenly, this isn't just a lighthearted royal story anymore. It becomes something more grounded, more emotional, and more unpredictable. The kind of story where every decision matters and every relationship is tested in ways we haven't seen before. And the most surprising part? This transformation doesn't come from politics, enemies, or external threats. It comes from within her own life. Because as the updates suggest, Mia might be stepping into a role she's never experienced before, and one that could challenge her in ways ruling a country never did. And if that turns out to be true, then this sequel isn't just continuing the story. It's completely redefining it. Now, this is where things take a turn that no one really expected, but at the same time, it somehow feels completely right for where the story is heading. Because according to early rumors and strong fan theories, Mia might be pregnant in Princess Diaries 3. And not just that, there are even suggestions that she could be expecting twins. And the moment you hear that, everything about this sequel instantly feels different, and knowing Mia, the same girl who once struggled with confidence, identity, and belonging, you can already feel that this version of her is going to be layered, emotional, and possibly even conflicted. Now, no matter how strong the story is, Princess Diaries 3 would never feel complete without the people who made it special in the first place. And this is where things start hitting on a completely different emotional level. Because the possible return of familiar faces isn't just exciting, it's deeply personal for fans who grew up watching this story. Starting with Anne Hathaway, because let's be honest, without her, there is no Mia. Her return alone brings authenticity to the sequel. But this time, she's not playing the same character we remember. This version of Mia is older, wiser, and carrying responsibilities that go far beyond anything we've seen before. Which means her performance is going to feel different. More emotional. more layered, and probably more powerful. Then comes Chris Pine as Nicholas, and his return is just as important. Because Mia's journey isn't just about her individual growth, it's also about her relationship. Nicholas represents stability in her life, someone who understands both the royal world and her personal struggles. But here's the interesting part. If Mia is pregnant and all these changes are happening at once, their relationship is definitely going to be tested. Not in a dramatic, over-the-top way, but in a real, emotional way. The kind of challenges that come when life suddenly becomes overwhelming. And that adds depth to their story. Because it won't just be about romance anymore. It will be about partnership, support, and facing life-changing moments together. And then, there's the presence everyone is hoping for. Julie Andrews. Even the thought of her returning as Queen Clarice brings a completely different kind of emotion. Because she's not just a character, she represents guidance, wisdom, and the heart of the entire story. If she appears, even briefly, it won't just be a scene. It will be a moment. The kind of moment that reminds both Mia and the audience where everything started. And alongside her, Hector Elizondo as Joe, because his bond with the royal family has always been one of the most genuine parts of the story. His presence brings comfort, familiarity, and a sense of continuity. And then there's Lily, Mia's best friend, the chaotic, honest, unpredictable energy that always kept things real. If she returns, she could bring a completely new dynamic, especially in Mia's current life. Imagine her reacting to royal responsibilities, pregnancy chaos, and Olivia's arrival all at once. It would be messy. It would be funny. But it would also be exactly what the story needs to balance its emotional weight. And that's what makes the returning cast so important. They don't just bring nostalgia. They bring emotional connection. They remind us why we cared about this story in the first place. And with all these characters coming back into a much more mature and complex storyline, the movie has a chance to feel both familiar and completely new at the same time. Section 5. What this story is really building toward. When you step back and look at everything together, the pregnancy, Olivia's arrival, the returning characters, you start to realize something important. This isn't just a sequel. It's a transition. A story that's not just continuing Mia's journey, but evolving it into something much bigger than before. Because at its core, this movie seems to be about change. Big, life-altering change. Mia is no longer becoming something. She already is. She's already a queen. And now she's facing the reality of what that truly means. Balancing personal life with public responsibility. Balancing emotions with expectations. Balancing who she was with who she needs to become. And that's not easy. Now the biggest question that's still on everyone's mind, when is all of this actually happening? Because even though Princess Diaries 3 is officially in development, the timeline is still something fans are trying to figure out. And honestly, the situation right now feels like it's right on the edge of becoming real. Everything is lining up. With Anne Hathaway's schedule finally opening up and Disney clearly pushing the project forward, production could begin sooner than expected. And the moment filming starts, that's when things really take off. Set leaks, behind-the-scenes moments, first looks, everything. And if that happens, the hype is going to explode. Because this isn't just any sequel. This is something fans have waited years to see, and now that it's finally close, every small update starts to feel like a big moment. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because despite all the rumors, all the hints, and all the theories, Disney is still keeping major details hidden. And that usually means one thing. There's a twist. Something big. Something they don't want fans to figure out too early. It could be related to Mia's pregnancy. Maybe there's more to it than what we think. It could be about Olivia. Maybe her connection to Mia is deeper or more complicated than just a half-sister reveal. Or it could even involve the royal future itself, a decision Mia has to make that changes everything. And knowing how these stories work, it's probably not just one twist. It's multiple. Moments that slowly build up and then hit all at once. And that's exactly what makes this sequel feel so exciting. Because right now, we only have pieces of the puzzle. We see the direction. We understand the emotional setup. But the full picture? That's still hidden. And when that full story finally unfolds, it's going to hit much harder than expected. Because this isn't just about returning to a familiar world. It's about seeing that world change, seeing characters evolve, seeing relationships tested, and watching Mia face a version of life that's bigger, more emotional, and more unpredictable than anything she's experienced before. So yeah, Princess Diaries 3 might have started as something fans simply hoped for. But now, it feels like something much more powerful. A story about growth. A story about family. A story about stepping into the unknown, even when you're not ready. And if everything we're hearing turns out to be true, then one thing is clear. This isn't just a sequel. It's the chapter that could change everything. But beyond all the twists, rumors, and returning characters, there's one thing that might end up being the most powerful part of Princess Diaries 3. And almost no one is talking about it. Because underneath the royal drama, the pregnancy storyline, and Olivia's arrival, this story is quietly setting up something much deeper. Identity. Not the kind Mia